morning, everyone. Today we will be discussing a very important topic from lower limb, fracture neck of femur. From every point of view, this topic is very important, whether be it theory exam or your practical or viva. So most of the students you will be asked from this topic. So it is very important. Okay. Now coming to introduction, usually we consider neck femur fracture as intracapsular fracture. Sometimes we can differentiate into intracapsular and extracapsular fractures, but usually all the extracapsular fracture we call it intertrochanteric fracture, whereas intracapsular fracture within the capsule, when the fracture is present within the capsule, we call it intracapsular fracture. So it occurs mainly in elderly people with osteoporosis, and it can also occur in young people when there is high velocity road traffic accidents. Also you can find stress fracture in athletes, and risk factors are age, when female who are greater than 65 years, male, elderly male, females are more prone, and also alcoholics. So what all the topics we'll cover here: first we'll discuss about anatomy of hip joint, then we'll talk about its etiology, mechanism, classification, clinical feature, investigation, and finally treatment. So in last class also I had told you about blood supply around the hip joint. So mostly it is formed by two rings are formed, extracapsular ring and intracapsular ring. Extracapsular ring is formed by medial circumflex and lateral circumflex, whereas intracapsular ring is formed by ligamentum teres. Okay, so this is grossly, you can see how the blood supply of hip. This hazy part you can see the capsule. Okay, this is the capsule, and these are the two rings from which the neck of femur is being supplied. Now this is very important. Trabeculae, later on what is its significance I will tell you. So just know what are trabecular lines. These are the lines and it indicates stage of osteoporosis. Okay, so when the bone is highly osteoporotic, these lines will become less dense. As the bone becomes more and more porous, these lines will be less dense, and when the density is more, you can say the bone is healthy bone. So principally there are few groups of this trabeculae. These are principal compressive group, these are principal tensile group, these are greater trochanter group, these are secondary tensile group, and these are secondary compressive group. So these are the orientation of trabeculae in proximal part of femur. Its significance later on I will say you. There is a classification which will classify based on this trabeculae. Okay, so just know these are the trabeculae. There are principally these many groups and how they are aligned. Now what is the mechanism of injury? In old age, when there is fall with lateral rotation of lower limb, or there may be fall producing a direct blow over the greater trochanter. In young individual, it is mostly due to high velocity trauma or road traffic accidents. So what are the clinical features you will find in neck femur fracture? So first and foremost, there will be history of trauma or fall. Then the patient will be complaining pain, there will be swelling over hip, there may be tenderness, there is tenderness of course. There will be external rotation deformity. Here you can see how this limb is externally rotated. Here in this figure also you can see when there is fracture, this limb is externally rotated. Okay, there may be shortening, and the patient will be unable to bear weight over his affected limb. There may be ecchymosis, and of course the movements will be restricted. Now coming to X-ray. So in X-ray you will mostly, as you all know, first is antero-posterior view, then other view, traction and internal rotation of the affected joint. If you pull this limb and you rotate it externally, you can have more clear picture of this fracture. Okay, so many times we ask for this particular view, traction and internal rotation view. View will be antero-posterior, but this will be traction and internal rotation of there will be limb, and the picture will be taken then there is also lateral view to see the posterior comminution. CT scan usually has very limited role, or when multiple fragments we do have to better appreciate, we do CT scan. Okay, MRI routinely we don't do unless and until any hip pathology, pre-existing hip pathology is suspected. So this is the lateral view, how you will see proximal femur from the lateral view X-ray. This is CT of hip. So here like this you can see the fracture in CT scan. Now coming to classification. So there are three classifications chiefly. Of course there is one more also, but it is not necessary from your point of view. Anatomical classification, Powell's classification and Gardner's classification. So first, simplest of all, we'll see it is anatomical fracture. So it is divided into three types. First is subcapital, just because it is below the head, so subcapital. Second comes transcervical, when the fracture is present in midway somewhere between neck, we call it transcervical. And when the fracture is present just over the base of the neck, we call it basicervical. Sometimes this fracture is also called as intertrochanteric fracture. Usually features of these intertrochanteric and basicervical are almost similar, as this comes under extracapsular, or sometimes it can come in intracapsular also. So usually the features of intertrochanteric and basicervical are similar. So sometimes we can say it intertrochanteric fracture also, sometimes we can say it basicervical. So now coming to second classification, Powell's classification. Now this classification has also three types. It is based on the angle formed between a horizontal imaginary line and the fracture. Okay, so suppose this is the fracture line here, and we draw a line over it, and we draw a horizontal line here. Where they meet, we find out what is the angle. So when it is within 30 degree, we call it type 1 fracture. When this angle is between 30 to 50 degree, we call it type 2. When it is more than 70 degree, we call it type 3 fracture. Okay, so these are three types, type 1, type 2 of the Powell's classification. Now coming to Gardner's classification, which is very important. In fact, your treatment mostly will be based on this classification only. So we have four types here. First one is incomplete fracture, okay, and the neck trabeculae, inferior neck trabeculae are intact. Okay, the first one is incomplete fracture and trabeculae are intact. Type 2, we have complete fracture without displacement. Okay, and the distal fragment trabeculae are in normal alignment. Okay, Now, type 3 is complete fracture with partial displacement, intact posterior retinaculum, and trabecular pattern of femoral head does not line up with that of acetabulum. Okay, I'll show the picture and you will understand better. And type 4 is complete fracture with full displacement, trabeculae of head align themselves with trabeculae of acetabulum. So what are these trabeculae? This is schematic representation. Type 1 there is incomplete fracture and the trabeculae are intact. Type 2 there is complete fracture but there is no displacement and the trabeculae are also in aligned. In type 3 there is displacement and the trabeculae are malaligned or the direction of them is changed. And in type 4 what happens? There is a trabeculae of acetabulum here. Okay, type 4. So in type 4 the trabeculae of head realign themselves with acetabulum. So this trabeculae, and here you will find imagine here it is, there is acetabulum. So here there will be trabeculae of acetabulum. So the trabeculae of head and acetabulum they get aligned, but this trabeculae it lies in other direction. Okay, so these are the 4 types of classification, Gardens classification, based on the displacement and the alignment of trabeculae. Now coming to treatment. So treatment depends on age of the patient, duration of fracture and geometrical pattern of the fracture. So these are the factors which will determine how we are treating neck of femur fracture. So this is a flow chart you will also find in your book. Fracture neck of femur when it is undisplaced. You can do, sometimes we do conservative, like in children's we do apply hip spica and all, but in adults usually we don't do conservative management. Then we do multiple screws. How we put the screws, how I will show you in the picture later on. Displaced, when the fracture is displaced and age is less than 60 years. What do? We do closed reduction under X-ray. If reduction is possible, we do multiple screw fixation. If reduction is not possible, we do open reduction, internal fixation. Okay. In conservative also there are certain methods like better methods. We do reduce the hip, but usually it is not very much effective in conservative management. Now when the age is greater than 60 years, we go for prosthetic replacement. When the hip is normal, we can go for hemiarthroplasty, but when hip has pre-existing arthritis, we go for total hip replacement. Okay, so basically when the age is less, we try to conserve the head, but when the age is greater, we better replace it. Okay, so this is type 1, Garden type 1. Less than 60 years, again we are doing closed reduction with cannulated cancerous screw fixation. Greater than 60 years, we do prosthetic replacement. Garden type 2, again less than 60 years, we do closed reduction with screw fixation. Greater than 60 years, prosthetic replacement. Type 3, we can do osteotomy with dynamic hip screw fixation. There is one more implant you came across, that is dynamic hip screw, or DHS we call it popularly. Greater than 60 years, we go for prosthetic replacement. Garden type 4, less than 60 years, osteotomy with dynamic hip screw fixation. Greater than 60 years, prosthetic replacement. Okay, so just greater than 60 years, always we go for prosthetic replacement, but less than 60 years, again we try to fix the fracture. So this is how you will do cannulated C6 fixation. So you try to reduce the fracture. We have instruments in OTs where we can give traction here, we call it traction table. We apply the traction here, then we try to reduce, and once We confirm from APL lateral views of Siam. If the X-ray is reduced, then we go for CC screw fixation. There are multiple ways of putting screws. One way is inverted triangle shape, so 2 screws above, 1 screw below. Sometimes also we can put 4 screws in a parallelogram shape or something like that. Sometimes we can also put 2 screws also. Okay, so these are ideally we give 3 cannulated screws and we fix the fracture. Okay. These are multiple screw fixation. This is how we build. So this is one more thing. This is called dynamic hip screw, which we were using in garden stage 3 and stage 4. So here what we do, we put this instrument is called dynamic hip screw. We apply a plate. It's like plate here, and here will be multiple screws. Here you can see, and here also there is a big screw. You can tighten it, and you can, after getting reduction, you can put this for a better stability. So there is one more thing. These were all about a CC screw and dynamic hip screw. There is something called Garden index, which you must know. So this index helps us to assess post reduction. We can assess whether our reduction is perfect or near to perfect, or it is not acceptable. So what is this Garden index? You take X-ray in APN lateral view. Now based on the trabecular pattern, these are the direction of principal medial trabecular system. Okay, so this is in you take a central axis and you draw a line parallel to this trabeculae and the medial border of the femur. So where they meet, they form an angle of 160 to 180 degree. Okay, so this is for a normal. So near normal is acceptable. So whenever post reduction, we can assess whether our reduction is acceptable or not. In lateral view, you can see this is the central axis and this is angle. It is almost 180 degree. Okay, so this is Garden index. You can view in AP and lateral view. If in AP view it must be around 160 degree, in lateral view it should be near about 180 degree. And how, if you are unable to calculate that, you can just see yourself through naked eye. When you see a normal proximal femur, you find its architecture like this, and when you see in lateral view, you get a S-shaped or inverted S-shaped. So when this shape or line is distorted, you can say there is fracture reduction is not adequate. These are certain instruments for hemiarthroplasty. You saw CC screw, you saw dynamic hip screw. Now this hemiarthroplasty, this first in Austin Moore prosthesis, you will be shown all these instruments. You will be kept for Viva exams, so you must know this. First is Austin Moore prosthesis. How you will identify? There will be 2 holes over here proximal. Okay, so this is Austin Moore prosthesis. It is used for hemiarthroplasty. This one is Thompson prosthesis. How you will identify? Here there is no hole, so you can identify these 2 from one another. The third one is bipolar. Why it is bipolar? Here, like, the head is fixed, but here there is one more plane is developed here for the rotation of this head, so we call it bipolar prosthesis. This is total hip arthroplasty set. Here we also put a acetabular cup also here. Okay, so this is total hip. This was hemiarthroplasty set where we only change the femoral part, but here total hip replacement, we also put a cup in acetabulum. So what are the complications of neck femur? most commonly non-union, as you know, neck femur fracture is the most common fracture to go into non-union if not treated. Okay, second is avascular necrosis. As the neck femur, there is very complex blood supply in and around hip joint, so whenever whenever the fracture occurs, blood supply gets hampered and there is high chances that the head will go in avascular necrosis. So blood supply to the head will be decreased and ultimately it will go in avascular necrosis. So it is ideal whenever there is neck femur fracture, ideally we should treat it within 48 hours. Okay, so chances of it chances of its success increases if we operate it within 24 to 48 hours. Okay, and lastly, osteoarthritis also can develop over the hip joint following neck femur fracture. So non-union was a very important topic. So how in exam also you will get hip cases, mostly you will also get non-union cases. So how you will treat a non-united neck femur fracture? So first we have to assess the viability of head. You can sometimes you can find in X-ray, or you can go for MRI to assess the viability of head. If head is viable, we go for head preserving operation, we do osteotomy and plate fixation. But if head is not viable, okay, the head has started dying or it has died, it has undergone AVN, then we'll see two things. If acetabulum cartilage is viable, we go for hemiarthroplasty. But if acetabular cartilage is not viable, we go for total hip replacement again. Now there is one more thing in head preserving operation in non-union, that is called Mayer's procedure. What is this procedure? It is a procedure where where it was first done by Mayer, so name was after him. Muscle pedicle bone graft. So what do we do here? This is a fracture. We do osteotomy here. We cut here bone from the lower end of this is greater trochanter, just where the greater trochanter ends. We'll do osteotomy. We'll cut the bone here. Okay. Now we'll try to bring this head in this line. We'll pull this fragment slightly outward, and we will try to bring this head and this one in one line. Now what we'll do, we'll give an additional support. This is muscle will divide a flap. This is quadratus femoris muscle, and will attach it here. It will form a scaffolding, you can say, or a support. So here we call it muscle pedicle bone graft. This, as we are putting a muscle pedicle, we call it muscle pedicle bone. Now we'll fix this neck head of feature with cannulated screws. So this is muscle pedicle bone grafting. It is very much effective. Its efficacy has been approved very much in case of non-union neck femur. Now there are different types of osteotomy. Okay, we'll talk about three osteotomy. First one is McMurray's osteotomy. So what do we do here? It converts, what is the purpose, what is the principle behind doing this? It converts the shearing force into compressing force. Okay, shear force is converted to compressive force, and when the compressive force is applied, it accelerates union. So this is the fracture, and here we do osteotomy just below the base of greater trochanter here. Now we pull this this distal fragment, we pull it medially, okay, and this proximal fragment is rotated externally. So this head comes in line with this, and it generates a compressing force, so it helps in union of the non-united neck femur. Okay, so this is McMurray's osteotomy. Now coming to, there is Powell's osteotomy. What do we do here? This proximal end of shaft, here what happens, this end we cut and remove this part. Okay, from the distal here we cut a triangular shape of bone here. Now we abduct femur. Understood? This was the actual line. This line, it gets attached with this line. Okay, so this is somehow it will look like this after rotating it and fixing it. Okay, so this is Powell's osteotomy. Now this is valgus osteotomy. Here we again do osteotomy and we pull it this side. So basic principle is converts the mechanical loading of non-union side from shear force to compressive force. Okay, that's all about neck femur fracture. So you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, so no doubt. Thank you very much.